We are back with January 6th committee member Congresswoman Zoe Lofgren. Thanks for being here.
Sure, happy to do it.
Based on the available public evidence, what is the significance of that meeting, that late-night meeting, which explored potentially illegal and military-related efforts to overthrow the election, and what Donald Trump later did that night, which, as we showed, is cite Mr. Navarro and this other strategy, also potentially illegal, to overthrow the election?
Well, it seems more than coincidence that he has what's described as this unhinged meeting where he is going to appoint Sidney Powell to be a special counsel, and they're going to seize the voting machines. And then as soon as they're ushered out, he releases really the call to arms, also citing Mr. Navarro and the voting machine myth. So I think it's not a coincidence.
So if it's not a coincidence, at what point does it add to the criminal evidence, essentially, that Donald Trump was going to try to overthrow the election, and that the only reason it appears the only reason he didn't do the military thing was because they told him it wasn't going to work?
Well, we don't do criminal evidence. We're a legislative committee. That's for the Department of Justice. But we do think it's quite clear that the president, through a variety of actions, intended to not have the election count, to overturn the election. I mean, in various ways. That is very troubling to say that we're going to pick myself as president and disregard the votes of the American people in the Electoral College. That's essentially what it amounts to, and it's not the way we do things here in America.
Mr. Navarro, of course, is now rejecting this plea offer and preparing for trial. Mr. Bannon trial begins Monday. He did make waves by really backing down from his public stance that your committee was illegitimate and saying that he did want to try to cooperate in some way. We reported on the problems with that. But as he awaits a Monday trial, can you update us on the status? Has there been any accommodation reached for his testimony or documents?
Well, let me just say this. We asked for testimony and documents last fall, and we were specific with all of the documents we want. So far as I'm aware, as of this moment, we haven't received any of those documents. So I think he is just blowing smoke for the court, because if he were serious, he would have produced all those documents that we've been waiting for these many, many months.
I hear that, and the documents are important. Is there any discussion of a date for him to come in and testify?
Well, he's in the middle of his trial right now, and we're, of course, getting ready for our Thursday interview. Obviously, we want to question him. That's why we subpoenaed him. It's why we referred this to the Department of Justice. What can happen right now, even while he's sitting in that courtroom, is that he can, direct his people to send us all the documents. That wouldn't interfere with his being there in court. And we haven't gotten them, and I'm guessing we maybe will not.
Copy. The other big news here has been about the Secret Service. What evidence do you have about these deleted texts? Does it appear, from what you know, that this was just the IT error they say, or there's more to it?
Well, we have a lot of questions, and the IG said that they deleted these texts from the 5th and the 6th after he asked for them. There was a statement made by the Secret Service last night saying that although there was some texts lost, that none of the texts that had been asked for from the 5th and 6th had been lost. So we're going to insist on getting those texts. If they're there, then they need to deliver them to us right now.
It seems when you take it all together that there has been overwhelming evidence that Donald Trump's plot went much further than the horror of the 6th, but that he tried to overthrow the election through multiple steps and overt acts that would appear criminal. At the end of the day, do you think this committee has laid out a case that Donald Trump committed one or more crimes in that effort?
Well, as I say, we're a legislative committee. We will, I'm sure, have a discussion when we're a little bit farther along in the evidence collection on, whether or not to send a letter to the Department of Justice with our conclusions. But certainly the Attorney General says he's watching all of this. So I don't think he would need a letter from us to be made aware of what we've come out with. It's very clear that the former president has culpability. The decision on, illegality is something that, the Department of Justice has to decide. But in terms of whether it was right or wrong, it was wrong.
Put clearly, you have a lot of experience in this field. I've mentioned to folks the committees you've been involved in dating back to Watergate. And as we watch the evidence here, the public can try to make sense of it, but it's clear we're learning a lot from this committee. So Congressman Lofgren, thank you for joining us.
Thank you. Anytime.